Back on Inside Tennessee this Sunday morning with two candidates who would like to represent District 18 in Knox County. Elaine Davis, the Republican, Gregory Kaplan, who is the Democrat. Mr. Kaplan, I promised you some time to respond to Ms. Davis's defense of the current trigger law about abortion here in Tennessee. What say you?
Well, thank you. I just want to say that John said correctly first that the current law in place allows no exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the mother. You know, I have the law right in front of me. I have it, this page, and I just want to read really quickly. It says, abortion means the use of any instrument, medicine, drug, or any other substance or device with intent to terminate the pregnancy of a woman known to be pregnant with intent other than to increase the probability of a live birth, to preserve the life or health of the child after live birth, or to remove a dead fetus. It says nothing about the life of the mother, and then it goes on to say that the performance of an abortion is a Class C felony. 80% of the people in Tennessee at least want the law modified to include those exceptions, and that's why I'm more in touch with my district.
So, and I just want one concluding point. Some of our viewers will know this, but last week some, 700 physicians took out a full-page ad, I think, in the Tennessean. So they clearly feel some nervousness about whether this defense that's built into the law is going to be enough for them. But let's move on. Mr. Kaplan's
physicians pro-abortionists. So you need to make sure that there's over 10,000 doctors in Tennessee. And so it's a very small percentage of doctors that are stating that. And they have an agenda. They're not in favor of this law. The law is pertaining to an elective abortion. If there is the potential for the mother's life to be in danger, the doctor has the duty of care to take care of that mother and to make that medical decision.
Here's the important thing. We know where you stand. You like the law as it stands. We know Mr. Kaplan wants to change it. That's important for our viewers moving forward as they vote. John?
So let's move on to the next topic, and it's one that Mr. Kaplan alluded to at the start. Ms. Davis, we'll start with you. And it's this whole issue of the legislature this spring passed this law regarding teaching divisive concepts. My question is to both of you, do you think there are times when the legislature needs to step in when it comes to instruction at our public universities, our places of higher learning? I'm curious as to whether you think there are times when lawmakers need to do that, such as in their wisdom, the legislature did this spring. And let's start with you, Ms. Davis.
Well, so I wasn't involved in all the conversations and all the committee discussions with respect to that law. However, we need to remember that we in East Tennessee, we have certain values, and we value the ability to discuss and debate all sorts of information. That is important, but we don't want to promote certain ideologies over one another. We want to make sure that those ideas and values can be debated and discussed freely. We are obviously a very primarily a conservative community, but at the same time, we want to make sure that at our universities and in our colleges, we have the opportunity to have open discussions. However, we need to recognize and realize that the legislature is representative of their constituency. I'm going there to represent the people in my district. And if the people in my district say that those values, that those concepts don't align, then we need to make sure that we're listening to those parents and to those teachers and to those donors.
I've heard this argument, Mr. Kaplan, as we go to you for a response as well, from many Republicans saying, this came about because there was promotion of certain concepts in the classroom, not a discussion. There's a difference in their minds between promotion and discussion. Do you think that's a fair division?
No, first of all, I think that, there is not one current UT professor currently in the Tennessee General Assembly, not one voice from a UT professor or from many other institutions of higher education. And I think that's an important reason to vote for me, because you need an advocate for higher education, for a flagship university, and also for the university system throughout the state and all the state institutions. I think that This divisive concepts law is an example of the extremist nonsense that's been passed in Nashville because it's completely unnecessary. And I have that law here too. I have that law. And at the end of the law, after listing all these divisive concepts, at the end of the law, they say that it is protected by the United States Constitution, the First Amendment, all the freedom of speech in the classroom. So I think this law was completely unnecessary in the first place. It was just designed to intimidate and to is teachers and students. And why aren't we paying attention to funding public education, for K to 12, for example, modifying the TISA formula?
Mr. Kaplan, let me ask you this question, and then we'll hear from Ms. Davis. You have said in your campaign literature that you made the decision you needed to run the District 18 race to ensure the seat doesn't fall into the hands of political extremism. Are you talking about Ms. Davis? I mean...
Oh, that's directed to me?
Yeah.
I think my opponent has engaged in tweeting that could be considered extremist, conspiracy theories, some, including, unfortunately, at times, some anti-Semitic tropes that I've seen. That
oh my goodness, that's a lie.
Which I also have right here, by the way, in front of me. And also, I just want to say that her support for the complete ban on abortions, that's another view that does not represent the population of Tennessee.
I want to interrupt you just real quickly because...
And I also do not appreciate the fact that my opponent has posted UT course descriptions on her Facebook page and called them anti-American and racist when those course descriptions are protected by our Constitution. I don't appreciate any of those things, and yes, I would consider those extremist tendencies.
Elaine Davis, your response?
That's just utter ridiculousness. What's important to the people in this community is they have someone that is a voice for them. The University of Tennessee has lobbyists that lobby and reach out to the legislature all the time to push forward what their needs are. So I know that the university is well represented. If Mr. Kaplan wants to go and be a lobbyist, he can. If he wants to be a lobbyist for UT, he can. But it's a conflict of interest for him to promote certain ideals or certain ideologies. That's for me, that's a conflict of interest because his job could be dependent upon whether or not he votes for something or votes against something or helps to push something through or not. With regard to what he's talking about with tweets, I have no idea what he's referencing. That's just more political mudslinging, which is unnecessary, doesn't help anyone in our community. The people in our community, they're worried about inflation. They're worried about crime. They're worried about homelessness. They want police officers that can come and answer when there's a car accident, that they can come and service them. These are the things that are important. They want to have jobs. They want to make sure, and with respect to the school, the legislature just in addition gave $1 more billion to K through 12 education to have a total investment of $6.5 billion for K through 12 education in our state. Our state values education. We are working hard to ensure that students are successful. That's the goal. And with the new TISA formula, that's what they're trying to accomplish. They've got a base amount that goes for each student that's allocated for them, and then they have incremental amounts that are given towards a student that has any sort of disabilities or learning disabilities, dyslexia, those sorts of things, so that way that school system and that school can help address those needs.
We'll pick up on...
That's the focus. That's what we need to be talking about, the issues that matter to the people in District 18.
We're going to tackle one that does, and that is charter schools. We're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Back with more of that discussion right after this.